Hey, it's Debbie Pask here, and I wanted to talk to you about the quantum field because that's a big topic of discussion and pretty much the basis for all of the energy and spiritual work that you'll do in your world. And I wanted to start off with a couple of terms that people call the quantum field, whether it be the source field or the knowing field or the matrix. What that's really describing is the energetic field that we're living in, this energetic soup, this invisible realm that we're all in. Now we know that we're in a reality where we can affect that field, and I won't go into a high level of scientific detail, but basically there was the Cartesian system of physics, which was for a long time considered the truth, which said that there's objective reality out there, that the world is how it is, and you as the observer or the person can't really change it. There's a set amount of principles and behaviors and rules. That's what it follows, for example, gravity, and that you can't affect that field. And then it was proven more recently that, and Max Planck and a few other people like that started this whole revolution of quantum theory, which says you as the observer affect the field. You can talk to the field, you can affect it. As you observe it, so do you make changes to it. And there was a really famous experiment called the double slit experiment, which proved that wave particles changed when they were being observed. So there's a whole lot of evidence around this. So science and spirituality have really met themselves together in the middle. And so what we've come to, we've decided we're not really in a Cartesian viewpoint, we're in a quantum reality or a quantum viewpoint. And I think that we need to think about what is it that how do we use this information? Like people talk about the quantum field, we talk about meditation, we talk about visualization, manifesting. What do we really need to understand about the field? Because the more you understand, the more you can work with it, play with it, use it, and adapt it into your life. Otherwise, it's just a theory. So the more you understand, the better. So let's start with this. Let's start with your personal field. You have your own personal quantum field. And that is made up of beliefs and experiences and lifetimes or life experiences that when you've been here, and it has good energies and good beliefs, and it has fractures and blocks and stagnations based on experience. So what we want to do with that field is get to know your own personal quantum field and start to repair the fractures, issues, challenges in that field. Now, where do you start? Well, what's going on in your life that's not right or that doesn't feel good or you're challenged with? Start there, and that's the personal quantum field. But you have to realize there's also the next layer, and let's talk about this going inwards rather than outwards, but for the visual sake, there's an ancestral field. So you have an epigenetic ancestral field, which means that the generations before you and your family have passed down some of their fractures or challenges, and good, it's not just bad. So there's an ancestral field that you have holding you in shape. You've come into this DNA, this ancestral family, this soul family. So there's that is also playing out in your quantum reality. So when we want to clean up ancestral stuff, which is heavy and it's quite big, that's going to make a massive change in your life. That's the ancestral field. But then think about all the other fields, and wherever they go in or out or around, there's your community. What community are you in? Your friends and social fields. There's all these fields that are coming into your energy. Your country, where you live, all the fields that you live and swim and exist in, and they impact you. Like if you're around a certain group of friends that do one thing, they're going to impact you more than a certain amount of friends that do other things. So I know people talk about when they've wanted to get off addictions or drugs or alcohol, they often have to hang out with friends that don't have those same addictions because, that field that they've got is keeping them stuck in that field. So there's all these fields that you're working with. And then there's the general, what I call the general, consciousness, God consciousness, spirit, spark of all life, that kind of general quantum field. That's just not necessarily in your immediate personal, ancestral, social life, but it's sort of in and around, and that's the field between you and trees and you and nature and you and the world. And there's information in all those fields that you can talk to and access and start to repair and heal. So that's big. Where this is going is I want you to think about in your life right now, and I'm going to talk about some global issues or some big issues. But I want you to think about the bandwidth. So if you think about these fields all having their own bandwidth. So for example, 5G might be this bandwidth, or the vaccinations might be this, there's a lot of, hoo-ha about vaccinations, not vaccinating, then you might have like COVID in this bandwidth. And they're like radio stations or radio bandwidths. And what can happen when we get caught up in a cause or a fight, we can really start to fight and have tension and fight between someone else and you, or the cause and you, and it can kind of tear you in and cement you into quite a destructive bandwidth, a quantum bandwidth. So what I try and do, even though I'm there's causes that I'm really interested in doing something about, I try and see it like a tension, not a fight. I don't want to get caught up in a fight, because if I get caught up in a fight, I'm the observer. Don't forget, in the quantum field, I'm just feeding it. The more I fight it, the more I grow it. Doesn't mean you can't do anything. I don't want you to say, let's sit around and do nothing. But what you need to kind of do in all these cases is come up to another bandwidth, which is more conscious and more evolved, and you're vibrating on a higher bandwidth. It's not better, it's just different or more transcendent. And what you can do is you can go, where do I want to start helping and supporting change in these areas? And look, there's a number of ways that you can do that. But one of the things I think is powerful is to dream up a better future. So, at this bandwidth, look down at these other ones and go, how could I dream a better future? How could I create something positive, not just fight what is? Because if I fight what is, I'm feeding that still happening. So the idea is to tune in. Keep tension. Tension's positive, fighting's not. Keep tension, and the tension meaning, here's the problem, here's the solution. Let's just pull it over here a little bit. So when you come to other people that disagree with you, it's such a great thing to be able to go outside and up and look down and go, okay, that person has a strong view. Everyone has the right to their own opinion, but I'm going to sit in a different bandwidth of the quantum field, and I'm going to kind of operate at a place where I can create change out of positivity, out of dreaming a better future. Because if we're all observers in the quantum field and we're all observing it, what kind of eyes we're looking at will dictate and shape the future. What sort of lens that you look through will actually change the reality around you. So have a think about that. Have a think about the fields that you're in, and actively start. If you're not sure where, I'm sure we can float some more tips, but start having conversations, start tuning in, start thinking and being aware. Even just being aware is a start of getting into the quantum field. Don't make it bigger than it needs to be. Like, the quantum field isn't difficult or complicated. It's just this energy, invisible energy, that we're not taught to really tune into as a kid or as an adult or at work, but it's there and it exists and it's been proven. I hope that makes sense, and good luck talking to the quantum field.